Hello and welcome to this episode, and in this episode we want to create a more meaningful program using the if conditional statements that we learned in the previous episode. So here we are going to create a program. This program is going to take two numbers from the user and it's going to compare it and show that which one is greater than which and the comparison between these two numbers. So let's go and create our program. We will write the code here on the board. The first thing that we want to do is to include our preprocessor directives as always. #include After this, we are going to create our main function, integer main void the start of the main function, and we want to give a message to the user to enter two numbers. So once the user has entered those two numbers, we want to read those two numbers using the scanf function, but before that we need variables to hold those two numbers in memory. So we can create two variables. Integer number 1 is equal to 0. We will give it an initial value of 0. Integer number 2 is equal to 0. Now that we have our variables, we can use the scanf function. Scanf. We will give the format of that the numbers are going to be presented to us. So the format is going to be an integer number separated by a space. So here is going to be a space and another integer number. So this is the format that we are specifying for the scanf, and scanf is going to get those numbers and store those numbers here in the variable num1 and in the variable num2. And always remember that we use this address operator whenever we are using this scanf function. So after that we've got those two numbers, now is the perfect time for us to compare those two numbers. So I'm going to create an if statement in here. If num1 is greater than num2, then we are telling the user printf that num1 is greater than num2. No, we will provide a conversion specifier because we want to replace this conversion specifier with the actual numbers. So num1 and num2. And at the end of the if block. So here in this if block, we are checking if number 1 is greater than number 2, and if that is correct, we are prompting the user that number 1 is greater than this number 2, and these conversion specifiers are going to be replaced by these two arguments that we have provided in the printf statement. So just like this if statement, I need to create two other if statements where num1 is going to be less than num2, and in here we are going to write less than num2, and I will also need a third condition where num1 is going to be equal to num2, and I will write in here that num1 is equal to num2. Well, I cannot write that here on the board because I don't have the space in here, but we will write it down on my laptop. And that's it. Let's go and write down this program on my laptop, and then we will be able to see the results. So here we are on my laptop, and let's go and write down the code that we wrote on the board. So let's start with printf, the prompt that we are giving the user, enter two numbers. Then we need two variables to hold those two numbers. Int num1 is equal to 0. Int num2 is equal to 0. And then we have the scanf function, two conversion specifiers for these two integer numbers and a space between them. So remember to have a space between them, and then a comma in here, and then the ampersand sign, which is the address operator, then the name of the variable num1, ampersand sign, num2, and after that we are creating the if conditional statement. If num1 is greater than num2, then open the block of if statement and do the following. Print that num1 is greater than num2 and provide the name of these two conversion specifiers, num1 and num2. And that's it. We can copy this if statement and bring the changes that we want to for less than and equal to. Okay, here we're going to have the less than, and in here we are going to write less than, and the third if statement, here we are going to give the equality operator with two equals. So if num1 is equal to num2, we will prompt the user that num1 is equal to num2. And that's it. Our program is completed. Let's just make it more good looking by removing all of these extra spaces. So we have these three conditions that are going to print three different results to the user. Let's go and run this program. And let's provide two numbers, 67 and 89. 67 is less than 89. Let's go and provide these two numbers once again in a different order, 89, 67. 89 is greater than 67. And if we provide these numbers as equal numbers, 89, 89, 89 is equal to 89. And that's how the if conditional statements work. I hope this has been informative for you, and I would like to see you in the coming episodes. Stay tuned.